In this video, we're going to be talking about the MX30G and the MX333, two very similar shoes at two totally different price points. In the UK, MX30G is £250 and the 333 is £395. My question is, with so many similarities, why is there such a disparity between the two different shoes in terms of price? Both shoes feature Lake's most aggressive racing last. That's Lake's most tight last around the ankle and not so wide in the forefoot compared to the competition last in the MX242, the MX238, that sort of shoe. Both shoes feature the same size runs, so 3 different widths: narrow, regular and wide. In narrow, sizes 36 all the way up to 50. In regular, the same, and in wide, 37 all the way up to 50. So why this difference in price? Both shoes feature 2 boas and a similar number of colorways. The 333 available in this blue and a black, the 30G available in this blue with ventilation, also white, and just as this video is getting released, a black version of the shoe. Dipping into some more similarities, it's clear that the finish and the quality of these shoes is extremely high. The stitching on the upper on the 30G and the 333 is exceptional. The way that the laces are tied in, the way that the upper is stitched together, nothing's going to get pulled apart or taken away as such from these shoes. The soles are completely identical. Looking at the shoes from the bottom, you wouldn't really know you're looking at a different shoe at all. And this is based around Lake's brand new lug system, the 80-20, 80 meaning 80% of the time on the bike, 20 meaning 20% of the time off the bike. Obviously, exact same carbon sole and exact same coverage, the exact same shape and, if you like, proportion and distribution of lugs across the bottom of the shoe. Off-road grip is really nice and high though, so if you're climbing something steeper in a gravel race or a cross-country race because you can't pedal up it, for instance, then you're not going to be struggling that much for traction. And both shoes have toe spikes, so it allows you to install these post-purchase. Available from Lake, but you can just buy them anywhere, not that expensive, don't come with the shoes. But that's where the similarities start to tail off. First of all, the thickness of the upper material on the 333 in leather, which isn't available at all in the 30G, I should add, and the microfiber, the inner is that little bit thicker, so this lining material makes this shoe feel a little bit more protective on your foot, shall we say, than the 30G does. The 30G is a little bit more lightweight, a little bit less robust. But that being said, the gain here would be to a rider who's looking for a more ventilated shoe or a shoe that isn't quite as heavy duty if they're doing a gravel race, for instance. But the compromise is the thickness of this lining. So I've noticed that some of the people that I work with in the studio with slightly bonier feet in that midsection of their foot on the top are struggling with this boa here on the inside of the shoe tightening up hard against the bony part of their midfoot. Now, the differences in these shoes are focused around more about how the foot gets held within the shoe and how the shoe tightens up around the foot. First of all, the heel cup being heat moldable is a serious increase in performance in the 333. And the reason why is you want your heel retained so it's more stable, allowing you to push down into the pedal with a lot more stability. The next complementary factor of the 333 here would be that there's a Carbotex instep on the inside of the 333, and there's also this as one tongue system. So when I'm tightening up the 333 onto a foot, this tongue gets pulled across, tensioning the inside of the Carbotex instep of the shoe in against the foot. Anyone with slightly more wobbly arches or arches that tend to want to collapse would benefit from the increased stiffness and retention, if you like, that the 333 is giving you. The lace-up system with this cross pattern as well is slightly harder to do than it is on the 30G. The 30G's tongue system is completely independent of the shoe, so the tongue comes out completely. You don't have that medial support in the 30G like you would have in the 333. It's not all bad though in the 30G, definitely a much lighter shoe, and the heel cup is still robust and supportive, so it's not like your heel is flopping around everywhere. It just doesn't arrest the ankle in the same way that the 333 does. Obviously, with the 30G being lighter duty and a mesh upper in the blue version, certainly allows the shoe to be better utilized in hotter climates. If it's hot, 30G is certainly going to be better at offloading heat, especially compared to the heavier, hottest version of the 333 in the black Hellcore leather version. Now, when you put these shoes on the very first time, it's important to let you know that in every version of the shoe, they give just that little bit because the material's high quality, it's thick. As you put your foot in there and as it heats up and it cools down and it, moisture gets in, the upper is just going to deform that little bit, but that's almost built into the idea of the shoe molding around your foot that little bit more. But the Hellcore version is going to give the most, but it's also going to be the most protective against heel strikes or toe strikes on logs, rocks, and what have you when you're on trail, single track, going even to a little bit more of an enduro. This shoe really will be a top-end shoe that will last you a lifetime. The mesh version of the 30G, however, that's going to get beaten up that little bit more quickly. And that wraps up my comparison between the MX30G and the 333. If you have any questions, put them in the comments and I'll try and get back to you as fast as I can.